So for today's training, we are going to talk about the introduction for generative AI. So first, there's two different types of AI. The first one is traditional AI. And traditional AI refers to systems that are designed to perform specific tasks based on what the data sets they have been trained on. So two examples of this would be the chatbots, which talks about the programs designed to simulate conversation. So if you're ever on a website and you have to ask a couple of questions, it pops up a chatbot and it can really only tell you the information that has been trained on. It cannot create any new information. Very similarly, virtual assistants. So we're talking about Siri, Google, Google, and a lot of those virtual assistants that they can actually assist you with various tasks, but they can't necessarily make information up for you. So this is the traditional AI component. Generative AI and large language models are the AI systems capable of generating content based on inputs and prompts, often utilizing deep learning techniques. So a few examples of these would be ChatGPT 4, Dolly, Gemini, which is Google. Google also has a vlogger tool, Copilot, as well as Claude. Every single day, it seems like there's a new generative AI tool coming out into the universe of applications available to us. So there's definitely been more and more generative AI tools created out there. There are three generative models. So there's GANs, VAs, and RNNs. So we have the generative adversarial networks, which are machine learning models that use neural networks to create new data instances. There's also the variational autoencoders, or the VAEs, and these models are designed to capture underlying probability distribution for a given data set and generate novel samples. And there's recurrent neural networks. So this is using the sequential data to solve common problems, seen in language translation as well as speech recognition. So some examples of these would be medical imaging and video game design for GANs, fraudulent transactions, medical imaging, as well as text and music generation for VAEs, and then speech recognition, language translation, and video activity recognition for RNNs. So when you're using generative AI tools, you want to make sure that the prompts that you are creating are really good prompts, because it really is, if you create a good prompt, you're going to get good results, or if you create garbage in, garbage out. So it's really dependent on the type of prompts that you're creating in order to make the response that the generative AI provided for you. Here are four examples of really great prompts that will probably give you a really great response. And just to write a few of these, I need help writing a diplomatic and collaborative response to an email sent to me by the head of the department of a public university. The email I need help responding to is, insert the email text. Another good example is, hi ChatGPT. I'm a professor of a 100 level college composition class, and my students are learning about the subject verb agreement. Can you generate a 20 question worksheet questions that require students to identify the correct verb form in a sentence? So in both of these responses and these prompts, you have given them set the scene of who you are or what you want ChatGPT to be, as well as with the question that you need. You need help with an email. You need help creating the exam questions for subject verb agreement. So these are great examples for prompts. Here are some prompt examples for images, because in generative AI, you can create images. So can you design a photo of a corgi learning how to play the piano? So these are probably created in Copilot, which speaks to Dolly 3. So you can see that it created four specific images for me of a corgi playing the piano. There are some security concerns with the use of generative AI tools. So we do have at New York Tech, we do have a data classification matrix, which is a really great tool to discuss what is public data, restricted data, as well as confidential data. So public data is press releases, course information, and research publications. So this is data that you could probably find elsewhere on the interwebs, as well as Google and on our website. Then there's confidential data. So confidential data is data protected by the state or federal privacy regulations. So you can think about this as HIPAA and FERPA, as well as data protected by confidential agreements. So this is social security numbers, maybe home addresses, additional data information. And you never want to put this information into an AI tool because that allows a security risk and then allows other people's information to be sent elsewhere and used on the dark web. Restricted data is all institutional data that is not explicitly classified as confidential or public, but should be treated as restricted data. So this is the gray area of our data, right? So we want to take a step back and think about the purpose of utilizing this AI tool with this data. Um, so this data we'll go through this a little bit further, but this data you may have to actually scrub of any identifier information as well as make it more anonymous in order for it to be used in a AI tool. Or you may want to not even include this type of data in an AI tool, even after removing all of the identifiers that you can. So a couple more ways that you can secure your digital footprint is you can use anonymization techniques. So before submitting the text for grammar checking, you want to anonymize or alter names, locations, and identifiable details within the document. So you want to make sure that it does not know a lot of information about you, but it knows enough to be able to provide you a response. You want to use hypothetical scenarios or anonymize the content to avoid a context to avoid revealing specific strategies or technologies. You do not need to have a very specific example. You can actually use hypothetical scenarios as well. You want to understand and leverage the privacy policies. So this is where you want to review and understand the updates in the privacy policies of large language model providers. Ask the service provider about the data retention and deletion practices to assess the security of your data. So you saw that I did that with a sample privacy statement, but you want to make sure that you understand fully where your data is going. You can also seek secure alternatives. So for sensitive discussions, opt for platforms that offer end-to-end encryption to ensure that conversations remain confidential. There also are opportunities for you to examine the free version versus the paid version um, of a tool because sometimes the paid version can provide more of a secure uh, encryption and secure alternate to the free version. So that's something that you may want to also examine is, okay, how do they secure my data? How am I secure with the free version of this tool versus the paid version of the tool? And if you're going to be using the tool a lot, you might as well go with the paid version to keep you safe.